You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. We've got a lot to talk about here. Some crazy things have happened at the White House the last 2 days, and we're going to get to that in just a bit. But first, I want to talk about what's been going on. You know, this morning on the radio, I was talking about Candace Owens has just totally thrown Trump under the bus, has come out of the closet as a never-Trumper, and I talked about that quite a bit on the radio show this morning. You can go and watch that show on my YouTube channel, Brian Craig on YouTube, and it is really upsetting. And I'm finding all kinds of other people that have been attacking Trump. And, you know, I've said for a long time, never trust a never-Trumper, right? Never trust a never-Trumper. And there's a lot of these never-Trumpers that are like reformed, right? They were against Trump, and then they came out when it became popular and all this stuff. So I saw someone else today who has thrown Donald Trump under the bus, Michael Savage. Michael Savage posted a photograph that is Ron DeSantis' wedding photo when he's in his naval uniform. And I have a T-shirt with Ron DeSantis from that photo, and he wrote on it, "The future." You know, and President Trump has done nothing but good things for Michael Savage. He's gone on his program many times, and I'm just so fed up with these people. And there are many others. We could probably go through social media and go through a lot of these people that pretended to be MAGA, pretended to support Trump, that are now throwing him under the bus. Well, I am telling you this. You know, I have felt like a man alone out there in the wilderness with this big MAGA divide that's going on. There have been others, you know, Sebastian Gork is with us and everything. But I saw someone today who's put out a lot of videos on YouTube, quite a bit of content on YouTube, who is not only supporting Trump, but showing the truth that Trump actually had a massive win. And I'm talking about Tim Pool. Tim Pool, who I do not always agree with. And, you know, he's a little kooky, he's got a little personality, and he's a little eccentric. But I do watch and follow Tim Pool, and I respect him, even though I don't always agree with him. That's cool. But he's been doing some really good content the last few days, and in particular today, he did some incredible videos showing how well President Trump actually did. And, you know, this whole idea that Trump lost, that the Republicans lost, is insane. Nancy Pelosi will no longer be the Speaker of the House. If we win no other elections that are still out counting, which we will, but if we win no others, not only did Trump win 95% of his endorsed candidates won, we gained, obviously, in the House. We gained in the Senate. Mm-hmm. It's still up to debate. It's still up to be seen whether we'll take over the Senate. Maybe we won't, but we still gained in the Senate. We've taken back the House. We've gained other offices throughout the entire country. Florida is no longer a swing state, a battleground toss-up state. It's now strongly a conservative state. This is all Republican victories, all Trump victories, and this narrative that's going on out there that Trump and the Republicans lost, this is insane. The Democrats lost. The Republicans didn't win as big as some were projecting, okay? But the Republicans still won and the Democrats lost. And I'll tell you, Tim Pool has been pointing this out, the last couple of days, and he deserves to be recognized for that because, a lot of these conservatives out there, so-called conservative influencers, this thing about being an influencer, I was talking about this to a caller this morning. Candace Owens, I played a bit of her monologue trashing Trump, and it was her entire podcast. Okay, I just took some of it out, but she used this one statement. She said she was speaking with other conservative thinkers.
Well,
let me finish that real quick, Kathy. Okay. She called herself a conservative thinker.
Yes,
and she's speaking with other conservative thinkers. This was her word. These are her words. What does she think? She's Socrates and Plato here?
Yes,
I mean, what
she does.
Listen, I'm just a radio guy, okay? I do a radio show, I do a podcast, I think, but I'm not so arrogant that I think I'm some philosopher And this whole emphasis on being an influencer. You know, what an arrogant. I mean, I guess I fit into that category.
I think
but I don't
all conservatives that vote conservative are conservative thinkers.
I mean, my goodness.
Everybody, me, you, all the people that vote.
That's not what Candace Owens
Well, that's
meant.
what I'm saying. We're all conservative thinkers, we think, and we have conservative thoughts. But you always said Candace Owens was a never-Trumper.
Yeah.
You always said don't
That's
trust
right.
her. So my question to you is this. Think if her, and I'm interested in what Glenn Beck had to say, because I know he was a never-Trumper.
He stayed out of this pretty much.
So my question is this. Are these people like Savage, and I'm interested to see what Mark Levin says about this too. I'd like to see his show Sunday. I don't usually watch his show.
I'll watch it this week.
People that are all of a sudden attacking Trump, like Winsome Sears, that was disappointing.
That's right. Winsome Sears said that Ron DeSantis should be the nominee in 2024.
Are these people that were pretending to like Trump and now they feel they have an out? Or did they really support Trump?
No.
And they've just changed
Let me
their
tell
mind?
you.
Which is it, in your opinion, these people that are bashing him down?
This is what the deal is.
Is this their out to get away from him?
They're out. No, this is what's going on, okay? When Donald Trump came down the escalator, no one knew who Candace Owens was. She was on Periscope, making videos on Periscope. And then
she owes her career to him.
And then all of a sudden, she got connected with Cernovich and some other. I can't remember who else. It was Cernovich and someone else. I can't remember who it was.
I think Charlie Kirk.
Well, it was before Charlie Kirk. It might have been Jack Purcell because he was on Periscope. But I can't remember who it was. But anyway, and I have no problems with Cernovich. I know a lot of people do. I don't really have any. I have no problems with Cernovich. I don't pay too much attention to him these days. But anyway, and now she's a millionaireess and she's a household name in America. She's one of the most famous women in America, all because of Trump. This new wave of these so-called conservative influencer, okay? Most of them are millennials. Some of them are Gen Z, but most of them are millennials. Millennials are this Instagram generation that are just complete narcissists, okay? So this thing with Trump in them, and I'm going to throw Dave Rubin into this, who I got a lot of respect for too, but I've heard him talk about DeSantis. He's got a thing for DeSantis too, you know? And I love DeSantis. He's our governor. I voted for him. I live in Florida, Kathy. We live in Florida. This is great. Our house is worth 3 times what we paid for it. You know,
true.
and
we love DeSantis.
And so not that we're selling it to cash in, because we'd have to buy another house, and all the other houses are 3 times more.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a lot. Doesn't matter. We're on paper. He's made us 3 times richer just based on our house. But anyway, we love DeSantis, second only to Trump. So I don't want to get in this debate. But these millennial era influencers, which Tim Pool's one, he's a good guy. He's doing the right thing now. Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin, these others, they're into this for fame, clicks, and business, and all these other things. And what's happened is, most of these influencers, the Candace Owens crowd, are really in a small group. A lot of them work for Ben Shapiro. Some of them work for Glenn Beck at The Blaze, who was a never-Trumper, remember? And there's a few isolated ones here and there. And they're not really diverse, independent people. I talked a few months ago on the program. I was shocked to learn that Brent Cooper, this girl that got the comment section, I couldn't understand. Brent Cooper is a girl. She does a conservative thing on YouTube. I never heard of her, never watched any of her videos. And she was showing up in my feed on YouTube, and I couldn't figure out what this was all about. I didn't understand. And she had like over 100,000 views on a video she published the same day. I'm like, and she looked like a gamer girl. And I'm like, who is this girl why is she in my feed? And then I found out she was connected to Ben Shapiro. And I was like, oh, okay. So they're doing some Google ads or something to get her channel out there. And then I saw a video online that she's not in her house, that's a television set in Nashville at Ben Shapiro's Daily Wire studios. And there's other people like her that work for Ben Shapiro or other people like Ben Shapiro, and it's fake influence. It's a big corporate thing making you think that there's these young millennial hipsters that are just MAGA.
But they all toe the Ben Shapiro party line.
Or the corporate line, which is against the they're establishment Republicans.
What it does is it helps solidify his opinion, but it's a stealth way to do it. Like, oh, well, they agree with me too. But they're really just saying what he's telling them to say. And I can't help but think with Candace Owens, and I know she was a never Trumper, and then she was all on the Trump train, and now she's a never Trumper again. I can't help part of this think that she's really in hot water with Ben Shapiro right now over this Kanye nonsense. And I feel like she's trying to save her job right now. I feel like, because Ben Shapiro doesn't like Trump. We know that. He's a big fake MAGA guy. And I'm not saying she's fake MAGA. Maybe, I don't know where she is. I feel she's an opportunist. And I feel she goes where the opportunities go. She's got a glam squad. She's got her own show. She's living high on the hog. She doesn't want to throw that away. She doesn't want to kiss away this opportunity. So I feel a lot of her motivation behind this recent bashing of Trump is to keep her job and to be in good standing with Ben Shapiro, because he clearly, we know he doesn't like Trump.
But you know what,
I think that has a lot to do with it.
It's not just Candace Owens. It's Michael Savage. It's Winsome Sears.
What do you think is behind Michael Savage? Because he was a big Trump guy. What do you think is behind this?
Well, Michael Savage, I just found this out like a little while ago. So I don't know. He doesn't do his radio show anymore. He does a podcast. He's on Newsmax all the time. And this is very, one of the reasons they've got, there's an entirely false narrative going on. And I want to tell you, I want to really congratulate Tim Pool for being the only person in that group, of these millennial, like YouTube people that are telling the truth about this. There's a completely false narrative that Donald Trump and the Republicans lost on Tuesday night, when not only did we win big. We didn't win as big as we had hoped, but we still won, and we won big, and Nancy Pelosi will no longer be the Speaker of the House. We may take the Senate.
How do you think this narrative has taken off?
Let me tell you. The reason this narrative has been able to take off is because Fox News is a lie. Let me tell you about
They've been pushing
Fox
it
News.
for sure.
Fox News, first off, they haven't carried any of the Trump rallies or speeches in 2 years, right?
Right.
So, they would have, some of these elections would have turned out better if Fox would have been covering the rallies so people could hear about these people he was endorsing. They chose not to do it because they hate him.
That's true.
But Fox News is a complete lie, okay? And Fox News used to be the place where conservative news was broadcast, and they're promoting the false narrative too. And let me tell you about Fox News. Fox News went on the air in 1994. Nobody watched it until the 2000 election with Gore and Bush. And I was very active. Kathy and I, we were newly married. We lived right down the street from the vote counting rooms, and I went down there every day. And I remember Fox News was the only news outlet that people trusted to report the truth during that 2000 recount era. And they became number one after that. And we report, you decide, and conservatives went to them. They became number one, and they had credibility. And what had happened, the reason they became number one is they were reporting the truthful thing that the mainstream media on many issues was covering up. And now what's happened is Fox News has become CNN, and they're promoting this false narrative about Donald Trump and what happened on Tuesday. So we don't, as big as you guys listening to this program, you're internet people, right? You're listening to us on a podcast platform. You're listening to us on YouTube. So you probably get your news and information from the internet, which is where I get almost all of my news and information, not television news, not cable news. But believe it or not, we're in a minority, okay? Television and television news has many millions of people watching it and is very influential. And because Fox News has sold us out and is now a lie, promoting this false narrative that Trump and the Republicans lost the other night when we had wins, that's why they're able to get away with this. See, if this was back in 2000, CNN would be pointing, and MSNBC would have the false narrative, and Fox News would have Bill O'Reilly and others on there calling them out all day long. Britt Hume, who's still there, but he's part of the sellout team now. But now Fox News is not reporting the truth. They're reporting lies.
I think there's a lot of people that people feel were Trump supporters that really never were.
Yeah.
And they've been waiting for an opportunity to distance themselves. And this is like their opportunity, what's happening right now, because this is a very strong narrative that's been going around this week. And yes, there were some big losses. We still don't know about Kari Lake. I think what really needs to happen for Trump and for MAGA is we need Kari Lake to win. We need a big win to really push things back
that
over
would help
to Trump. He had some good ones. Look, they flipped 16 houses in the House. We're at 211 now. We only need 3 more to have the majority, right?
We're going to get the House.
It says here,
that's done.
You need 218. All right, we need 7 more.
Which we're going to get.
And the Democrats only have 193. So we're way ahead of them. We're going to get that, okay? So we did flip the House. And the representatives in the Senate is still 48-48. So we're waiting on these 3 or 4 key races.
We need 51 because Kamala would be there tied. 50.
Right. There's going to be a runoff in Georgia and now Alaska. So I think Alaska might go in our favor.
Alaska is already a Republican, but Murkowski votes with the Democrats. So that doesn't gain us a seat because she's counted as a Republican.
No, but it helps us with the votes. It helps us with the votes. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I think if Trump...
We might get Masters in Arizona with Kari Lake still. We might get
we
Masters.
Could. I feel if we can get Kari Lake, if she can win, even though she's governor, she really has nothing to do with the balance of power as far as in Washington. But she's obviously a MAGA Trump person. I think a win from her would help Trump a lot and would help squash this narrative they're pushing. The problem is he had this huge loss with Dr. Oz and Kari Lake is, we don't know yet, and Herschel, these high profile races.
Well, they're celebrities.
Well, yeah, the other races were not as high profile. They weren't as well known. So those are not the wins they're going to focus on. They've got these high profile losses and uncertainties, and that's what they're focusing on. And, I said it yesterday, and I'll say it again. I support Trump, but Trump bashing DeSantis is strategically a mistake because it is feeding into this division that they're trying to create between the two of them. DeSantis has said nothing against Trump. He has never come out and publicly said anything against him or done anything. What he says privately, I don't know and I don't care. What matters is what he says publicly on interviews and things. He has never said anything against Trump publicly. But the media is pushing this narrative that they're at each other's throats. And Trump bashing him this week for no reason is feeding that story line.
What I would like to see...
Stop. Okay, I'm sorry. He needs to stop. It needs to come out and congratulate him and make nice.
This is what I'd like to see. Okay? This is what I'd like to see.
Do you agree? It's not helping.
This is what I'd like to see. Saturday, Tiffany Trump is getting married at Mar-a-Lago. I would like to see Governor DeSantis and his wife at the wedding. I'd like to see them together with President Trump and Melania.
But let's see if
then I'd like to see President Trump and Ron DeSantis go to Georgia and meet with Herschel Walker and publicly come out and support him during this runoff and show they are a team together and end this nonsense. We got to take a quick break. When we get back, there's a lot more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
Find your ideal body with Slimming Tea from Slim by TT. The #1 French appetite suppressant tea and fat burner is now selling in the U.S. and worldwide. Natural, herbal, hunger suppressing and fat burning teas can supplement fast and effective weight loss. Slim by TT uses a specially formulated blend of slimming plants to aid in your digestive health, rebalancing your metabolism, cleansing toxins, limiting water retention, and burning fat. Slim by TT is 100% natural and gluten-free. You can watch the pounds melt away with every cup. Don't wait. Head to slimbytt.com. That's TITI, slimbytt.com, and order yours right now. Want to know where all the bodies are buried? Author Robert Allen Miltenberg holds the key to that question in his book, Pool Boy to the Mob, Everybody Out of the Pool. Author Robert Allen Miltenberg holds the key to that question in his book, Pool Boy to the Mob. Welcome to Mob-Ammy Beach. This book is a fictionalized account of Miltenberg working at a mob-owned Miami Beach hotel in the 70s. If you're a fan of The Godfather, Goodfellas, or The Sopranos, you will love this story that's full of colorful characters and and wisecracking wise guys. It's a story with everything from Playboy bunnies and weaponized parrots to shattering the glass ceiling and getting away with murder, all in paradise. This is a wise guy tale you've never heard. Surrounded by pools, the trick for Bobby Moskowitz was not slipping in the one thicker than water. Bobby lived to tell the tales, and now you can read all about it. The funniest mob novel since Jimmy Breslin's The Gang That Couldn't Shoot Straight. Pool Boy to the Mob. Everybody out of the pool. From author Robert Allen Miltenberg. Available on Amazon. Order your copy right now. Ready to get lost in a story that will touch your heart? There's a page-turner you don't want to miss. Road to Elysium, the new book from award-winning author K.A. Oliver. Learn the story of Ken, a man who has given up on finding the happiness he once knew. When some neighborhood kids decide to rob his house, it sets off a chain of repercussions Ken couldn't have predicted, but ultimately leads to meeting Michael, a young man who will change how he approaches life and views the world. This must-read book is perfect for anyone who enjoys heartfelt, intriguing fiction stories about situations we can all understand. Road to Elysium from author K.A. Oliver. Available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. Order your copy right now.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Had something on what we were talking about in the last segment.
Well, no, how you said that, DeSantis and Trump need to get together for Herschel, and I agree, and Kemp. I would love to see a big rally in Atlanta or in Macon, Georgia, wherever in Georgia for him. They really need to not just walk away from this. They need this win. And I think Trump needs to have some rallies in Georgia, and the whole party needs to make sure, but they don't want to do that. I would love to see DeSantis do that. I just don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But Trump is not making it easy for DeSantis to extend an olive branch when he keeps insulting him publicly in the press.
I don't know about that. But
no, but I mean, so why is it DeSantis's responsibility to smooth things over when Trump is the one publicly bashing him to the media? That's Trump's responsibility.
You're not going to get me to say anything negative about Donald Trump. It's never going to happen.
But why is it, you said on the radio this morning, DeSantis needs to extend an olive branch?
Okay.
Trump
Let me tell you what.
Let me tell you what I mean. He's the one criticizing him.
No. If Ron DeSantis came out and said, I will not run against Donald Trump, I'm not running in 2024, I will never run against Donald Trump, it would end a lot of this. That's what I mean. Okay? And that's what I'm getting upset about.
He hasn't said that because maybe he is thinking about running now.
Well, Kathy,
I think he's waiting.
Then he's a bad guy.
No, he is not a bad guy. I think he is waiting to see what Trump does. Trump has not announced he's running yet. And I think DeSantis is waiting to see if Trump's going to run.
I don't know. We'll find out.
If Trump's going to run, then he probably will say, I'm not going to run. But if he doesn't run, then he's going to want to.
Hopefully, we'll find out on Tuesday. President Trump said he's still planning on making whatever announcement he planned on making on Tuesday.
Could be something else.
So hopefully it'll be that he's running for president. Okay. Now, Elon Musk now, of course, has taken over Twitter. And yesterday, a reporter asked Biden, see, this is another narrative they're going on now. A reporter asked Biden yesterday if Elon Musk is a national security risk because of his ownership with Twitter and connections to other countries. And then it came up in the White House press briefing today. Now, Jean-Pierre wasn't doing the briefing. The guy was. I forgot his name. It doesn't matter. But this is the White House press briefing today.
The president yesterday said that it should be that Elon Musk's acquisition of Twitter should be looked into as a potential threat to national security. Can you offer anything about why? And he also said there are many ways to look into that. How would you look into that?
Well, you heard the president yesterday, and the CFIUS process is the normal process through which transactions that might have a national security nexus get reviewed, and I will defer to the CFIUS process rather than comment on it further from this podium.
Okay, so now we've got 2 days in a row with this narrative that Elon Musk is a national security risk because he took over. Elon Musk taking over Twitter, I've said, is like Donald Trump taking over CNN. It totally cuts off their narrative and their ability, and they understand that they've lost the ability to control the messaging now with the loss of Twitter. So now they're going to go after him as a national security risk. I mean, we are really living in Stalinist Russia. You know, we've got American citizens in prison for almost 2 years now, since January 6th, who have not had due process. We've got all kinds of other craziness going on. Now this is some scary times. Now,
well, Biden, you know, it's so funny because, you know, he's had a lot of dealings with foreign countries and done things that are not good for American security.
Yeah.
And God knows what else that we don't know about. And, you know, I just retweeted something that Benny Johnson tweeted that they asked Biden about him being investigated. And that's going to happen. The House is going to investigate him. And that'll be interesting.
Well, let me play this.
Play this and see what he says.
This is Biden. This is the clip you're talking about. He was asked about, because we're going to control the House, about investigations into Hunter.
Republicans have made it clear that if they do take control of the House, that they want to launch a raft of investigations on day one into your handling of Afghanistan, the border. They want to look into some of your cabinet officials. They want to investigate you. They may even want to investigate your son. What's your message to Republicans who are considering investigating your family, and particularly your son Hunter's business dealings?
Lots of luck in your senior year, as my coach used to say. Look, I think the American public want us to move on and get things done for them. And, you know, I heard that it was reported, whether it's accurate or not, I'm not sure, but it was reported many times that Republicans were saying, and the former president said, how many times are you going to impeach Biden? You know, impeachment proceeding against Biden. I mean, I think the American people will look at all of that for what it is. It's just almost comedy. I mean, it's, but, you know, look, I can't control what they're going to do. All I can do is continue to try to make life better for America.
Yeah, make life better for the American people with high gas and high inflation. Well, the thing about that with Biden, and I've said this before, Biden is so corrupt. He's like criminally insane. He does not even know he's a criminal. He doesn't know another way.
No, all his gaffes. He's a pathological liar.
Yeah,
and he's like the Joker, you know. And his behavior to him is totally, like you said, it's completely.
This is just
normal.
how
it's like
done.
Sociopathic. It's like totally normal. We're the crazy ones. You know what I mean? Like people that are sociopathic, their behavior and that are pathological liars, that's their normal. Everybody else is nuts. So, you know, I think he lives in a bubble, and I'm sure he feels he's untouchable, and maybe he is. I mean, he's the president, but these investigations, I welcome them. I think that they should be, unlike with Trump, where there was nothing there and nothing happened. You know, look at all the things that happened to Trump. He was impeached twice, and he talks about it all the time. It's pretty funny when he says it. They got his taxes. All they talked about were getting his taxes for years and years and years. You heard that on Rachel Maddow every freaking day. They got his taxes, 2 years ago? Have you heard anything about his taxes? They raided Mar-a-Lago with those documents. Did you hear anything about that?
Yeah.
Nothing. So I welcome any investigation because unlike with Trump, I think with Biden, they're going to find a lot of juicy stuff. We already have found a lot of stuff that the FBI and the media have totally ignored. They finally had to admit it. And there's definitely a there. You know what I mean? There is something there, and bring it on as far as I'm concerned.
Now, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. And if you would like to support the program, a great way to do that is to become a Patreon supporter. And there are perks to becoming a Patreon supporter. They're all explained on our Patreon page. And if you would like to learn more, there is a link to our Patreon page in the description of this episode on whatever platform you're listening to us on. And there's also a link on my website, briancraigshow.com. All right. And one of the perks is our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Gary, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Pamela, Macho, Wesley, and Rome, Wisconsin. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you all for your support. Now, I got a bit of an announcement to make here. I'll get to that in a second. I'm very excited. I got my blue check mark on Twitter today. And I was denied a blue check mark for years by Twitter. I gave up, and now I have a blue check mark, as does Kyle Rittenhouse has a blue check mark, and many other people. And you can have one too. But let me tell you about the blue check mark. It is pretty cool. And, my on my iPhone, I have it set to dark mode. And if you have your phone on dark mode, the blue check mark is white. So even though I love dark mode, I turned it to the regular light mode so I could see the blue check mark. And I was so excited.
I don't know if you should admit that to
I was
people.
so excited. I made a YouTube short about it. And,
I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to get him to stop talking about Twitter. But he can't.
But I learned something. Now that I am a verified Twitter user, I'm a real person, like AOC and all these other important people, right? I learned something today. Now, maybe all you guys knew this. I had no idea. But when you are one of the verified Twitter people, for $8 a month, like I am,
he'll be insufferable.
There's all kinds of features on Twitter that you have access to that I did not even knew existed. And one of them is there's a setting so that you can only see other verified people.
Right.
And that means I did not know about this. I'm sure many of you did. You'll be like, you didn't know about that, Brian?
I didn't know either.
Hey, I'm Gen X, man. I don't know. We don't know everything. But yeah, I know. But so all of these celebrities and self-important people and politicians that you have all been tweeting and tagging for years, they haven't seen any of our tweets because we're not verified. They only see other verified people. And that was something interesting that I found out today. I will tell you this: since I became verified, and I guess this is something that must be automatic in the Twitter algorithm. I'm getting much more engagement on my tweets and responses than I ever got before, and I feel like because I'm verified now on Twitter with my blue check mark. I love it. I love it. That I have more interaction because of that. There's something with the algorithm that slows down your interactions, I think, unless you're verified. And that's probably something the old crew had in there. But you all should get verified too. It's, and I mentioned this early in the week. I'll just say this quickly, then we'll move on, okay? Because Kathy hates it when I talk about Twitter. But the reason it's important, I think, for all people to get verified, at least for the 1 month, okay, it's not just the personal satisfaction and everything like I'm getting and others. Cat Churd's very excited too. He got his check mark. These self-important AOC type people, okay, they're having meltdowns that they're not so special anymore. And it really has taken them down a peg or two and reduced their influence over things. And it's really going to cause a lot of them to exit the platform over
Well,
it.
I think they're really upset now.
Mark Cuban had a meltdown on Twitter over this today.
Well, now we know that they were able to filter out unverified people.
Yeah.
And I think they're really upset because they have to commingle with the serfs.
That's right, the regular people.
They have to hang out with the lowlifes. I want to talk about, which means you, honey. No, I'm just kidding. This Lauren Boebert's winning. Now, let me say this. I'm not a fan of
she took the lead.
I'm not a fan of Lauren Boebert, and I'll tell you why. She was at CPAC, or one of those. Yeah,
it was CPAC or Turning Point. It was CPAC.
And she came out on stage, and she looks ridiculous with her long hair and her over makeup. But she's like 2 feet tall and, 100 pounds, or, she's like 5 feet tall, really tiny. That's fine. That's not why I don't like her. But she came out on stage, and I had never heard her talk. I'd never seen her talk. I always thought, oh, cool, good for her. She spoke. She was very fake and phony. And when she walked off, and I said to you, this woman's in love with herself. And when she walked off the stage, she literally strutted, turned around and looked over her shoulder, flipped her hair, and strutted off like her you-know-what doesn't stink. She is in love with herself, but she is winning. I know a lot of you like her, and I'm glad she's winning. So, we definitely need MAGA in the government. But the Democratic operative, I saw this today, says that Lauren Boebert could start an OnlyFans if she loses, which is actually
Joy Reid was talking about that last night.
Despite touting themselves as feminists, Democrats on MSNBC wasted no time in suggesting that Republican Lauren Boebert could turn to prostitution if she loses her bid for re-election. Now, that's kind of a funny joke, but it is pretty degrading. I'm not a fan of OnlyFans. I think it's a disgusting platform. So it's definitely not a compliment, but it is kind of ironic. These women that are liberal, that feel OnlyFans is so empowering, and they do. They feel abortion's empowering. They feel prostitution's empowering, but then they insult Lauren Boebert by suggesting she can go on OnlyFans and prostitute herself.
Yeah.
In comments to Joy Reid on MSNBC, the Read Out, advisor Kirk Bardella said that Boebert could open an OnlyFans page, prompting Reid to burst into laughter. Bardella was asked to speculate what Boebert would do in the future if she had lost to Adam Fritsch. Well, she's not going to lose, thank goodness. And at first I thought, that's kind of a funny little joke because I'm not a fan of hers. But when you think about it, it's very degrading and insulting. And these are people, like I said, that are supposed to be so into feminism. And for Joy Reid to laugh at that really shows you she is a scum. She is a scummy woman. She's a racist. She hates gay people. I think she just is so full of self-hatred. Joy, I don't know what her parents were thinking when they named her. She's the opposite of Joy. She is so full of self-hatred that she just hates everybody. She hates everybody. Unless you're a black female, that's it. If you're not a black female, you're on her S list. And for her to laugh like that, I know it was her initial response, and I get it. But then she should have walked it back and been like, that's really going a little too far. I'm not a fan of hers, but that's a very degrading thing to say. But what do you think about that? But she's winning, by the way.
I think it's pretty disgusting that they said, but Joy Reid said that last night, and it's pretty bad. Now, there's one last thing I just want to mention. There's not much to say about it other than it's good news. Some reports are coming out today that Kevin McCarthy does not have enough votes among Republicans in the House to become Speaker. Who it will be if it's not him is unknown. Kevin McCarthy not becoming Speaker is another victory for Donald Trump in the midterms because Kevin McCarthy conspired he actually had discussions after January 6th with Nancy Pelosi and Liz Cheney to remove Trump from office and make Pence the president after January 6th. And I know Trump has been friendly and supportive of him. That's been strategic. And the story that Kevin McCarthy doesn't have the votes to become Speaker, that's Trump.
Who are they going to vote for then?
I don't know who. There's other people who it would be. I don't know, but
who would you like to see?
There's a lot of
Jim Jordan, maybe?
Jim Jordan would be spectacular.
I think that would be the best.
I'd love Jim Jordan.
How many votes does he need to
the majority of the Republicans? So that would be another big victory for Donald Trump. Now, listen, we're all out of time for today, but we'll be back next time. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. And if you would like to advertise on the program, go to my website, briancraigshow.com. You can email us there. And Kathy handles the emails through the website. But if you're interested in advertising anything that you're thinking of, a business, a book, a cause, your website, I don't know, maybe you have an event that you'd like to promote, anything you would like to advertise on the program, you can email us at briancraigshow.com. And when you do that, make sure you give us some information on what you're interested in advertising, a link, and some things like that we can look over. And Kathy and I will get back to you. All right, everyone, thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to you next time.